Hi everybody, it's Cheryl Richardson and it's happy Halloween time. It's Halloween Day coaching, I guess. And I'm happy to be here with you this week on today, and I had a costume ready and I wanted to just sign on first. Let me see. Let me sign on and then I'm going to show you my costume and you can tell me what you think. You ready? Here we go. This is the kind of costume that I would choose, without a doubt. Let's see. There. What do you think? If I open my mouth, it meows. Can you hear it? It's a pretty scary cat, isn't it? Happy Halloween, everyone. This is Cheryl Richardson, and yes, dressed up as Poupon. Although I don't have gray on, I have blue on. But if you can see the crazy cat costume, yeah, you can. I can tell. Lee, hi Lee. So yeah, it's Halloween here, and the sun is just set. It's really beautiful, and people are going to be coming around. We never get anybody at our house for candy. It's really depressing. We used to get people. We had a couple of gals who would come with their dad every year until they grew up, and now they don't come anymore. Anyway, so it's Halloween, and yes, thank you. I'm a cool cat. Thank you, Kathy. And hi, Carol. Happy Halloween. And Sharon, welcome. I'm so glad you're all here. Oh, did you see my little ear twitch? Wonder if I can make that happen again. I don't know what I did. There we go. It's very funny. I love it. You know, there's lots of great ones. Let's see. Here's another one. Hi. Now I'm Miss Pumpkinhead. I love this. There's no need to go out and buy costumes. I get to just try them on here while we're together. Let's see, what other ones do we want? How about this? Ooh, that's too scary. I don't like that one. That's kind of like, that's freaky. Let's forget that one. Let's do this one instead. Yes, this is sort of like nice autumn. I don't know. What would we call it? Just like a cool autumn costume. Oh my God, they're so funny. Oh, here's a witch. You ready? Let's see. Oh, I have a little bit too much hair. Okay, it's nice to see that I don't look good in a beard. It's not going to work. Not a good look, huh? Anyway, these are very funny, and I was playing with them before I... let me just fix this, everybody. There we go, so I can see your comments. I was playing with them before I went live. I know, it looks so real, doesn't it, Diane? It's crazy. I'll be curious to to watch it on playback to see what it looks like, because from my perspective here, it looks really like kind of freaky and real. Anyway, it's fun. It's like cool costumes for Halloween, and I love the fact that I don't have to like get dressed up. I can just do it right here. The gifts of technology. Anyway, by the way, yeah, Debbie's saying that her and her sister did the same thing the other night, laughing like little kids. Well, this would be a great thing to do, to get on Facebook Live with someone, you know, family members. Be a great thing to do for kids, and just try on the costumes with them. It'd be really fun. I am here this week to do some coaching with you, to take your questions. I posted earlier that I would be, you know, coming on tonight and ask some people to post some questions ahead of time. So I thought I would take a couple of those, and then I'll go ahead and, in the meantime, you're welcome to put a little cue and then a question in the comments so that I can scroll through and see when the questions, you know, find the questions more easily. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say tonight. I'm not gonna get into anything else except we'll see what comes up with the questions, shall we? Okay. So Charmaine wants to know, she says, my question for you is, how do you take care of yourself? How do you do the mental work, living in the moment? I'm a highly sensitive person and an empath. I get overstimulated and overwhelmed. Do you have any types of tips for this kind of person? Well, Charmaine, I do, because I consider myself a very sensitive woman, and I have been all my life. And, you know, it's interesting. I'll tell you a little story today that really answers that question for you. The last few days, Poupon has been acting sort of strange. And his eating's been a little off, a little finicky, and he's been sleeping more, and he's always been a very active, vibrantly healthy cat. We take good care of him. We feed him good food, with lots of water in it, and we play with him. We run him around. He usually likes to run around, but he's 10 and a half, and he's getting older, and he's slowing down. But over the last week or so, he's always been a voracious eater, or just a fast eater. You put food in front of him and he sucks it down. And in the last week, sometimes he doesn't eat right away. Sometimes he doesn't. A couple times he hasn't eaten at all. And so all that to say, Charmaine, that because I love him so much and he's so important to us, I found myself really getting twitched out about it, feeling really anxious, really nervous. And I watched, because I'm a meditator and because I understand how the mind works, I watched my mind, the voice in my head, start to go crazy. And what if it's this? What if it's that? Oh my gosh, imagining having to bring him to a vet, which the last time was not a good experience. It was many years ago, and I've not taken him since. He's an indoor cat, and I just haven't wanted to put him through the stress. And so I noticed that I was being influenced by my outer world. In other words, watching him very carefully, seeing what he was doing. So becoming obsessive about, what he was doing, thinking thoughts in my head, and feeling really anxious. And this morning, when that was going on, along with some tapping, which is always just a great thing to do to calm the amygdala down and get the body in a more relaxed place, I was really surprised, Charmaine, that my answer to that mental busyness and the voices in my head that were not helpful, I'll put it that way, they weren't helpful, was to sit down and meditate, to sit in a comfortable place, a very comfortable place, not in some rigid meditation pose, but in a comfortable place, and close my eyes and just focus on my breath. I set an alarm on my phone for 10 minutes, like I always talk about 10 minutes of presence. I set an alarm on my phone for 10 minutes, and I sat down, and I just started breathing, and I started following my breath. And as I followed my breath, I noticed that I got calmer and calmer, and the noisiness in my head started to get quiet, and the anxious thoughts started to just get, just get fewer and far between. And by the time the alarm went off at 10 minutes, let me back up and say this. And certainly in the beginning, there were times where, hi Shelley, there were times where my thoughts would just anxiously go to, this isn't good to just sit here and meditate. You need to do something. You need to find a vet. You need to, check him out. Like and I would just say, just breathe, Cheryl, just breathe through it. That's just the voice in your head. That voice isn't you. And Charmaine, this is the point I want to make to you. Most of us are run by a voice in our head that isn't us. And that voice is either focused on what could happen, what has happened. That voice stimulates certain emotions that then it becomes this vicious pattern. I worry, I feel anxious in my body, I get scared, I feel scared, so I think more scary thoughts. We all do this all the time. And the answer isn't to try and think your way out of it, to make a list, or to take action so that you're not overwhelmed. The answer always, first and foremost, is to sit down, take a breath, close your eyes, and start following your breathing. Sometimes I focus on a word. I often use the word peace because it's the state that I want to cultivate. But this morning, I just focused on my breath. And anytime my mind wanted to take me somewhere else, I just stayed with my breath. And I knew, Charmaine, that I was reminded that regardless of what's going on in our lives, whether you're worried about your kids, your job, your health, someone else's health, your own animal, our job is to always take a deep breath and close our eyes and go in and quiet the mind so that we can get connected to who we really are, which is the thinker behind the thoughts, right? The soul. We are the soul. The soul is a higher vibration. The soul is the wise part of us that sees through our eyes. And notices what's happening in the outer world. The mind, the thinking mind, that's objectifying everything and that's creating anxious thoughts and that are then creating anxious feelings. The thinking mind is not who you are. So Charmaine, the best advice I can give you about taking care of yourself, particularly mentally living in the moment, is to cultivate the practice of silence, to cultivate the practice of presence. 10 minutes a day over a 2-week period will change your life. And when you get quiet, this is true for everybody, when you get quiet and you start following your breath and your mind wants to take you out of that experience, it's your job to put your soul in charge and listen to your soul say, no, we're staying right here. We're remaining silent. We're following the breath because I'm the one that's in charge, not the crazy mind. And the more you do that, the deeper you'll go. This morning, within probably 4 minutes, I was in a very deeply relaxed place. Now, the other thing you're doing with the practice of presence is that you are lowering cortisol, breathing deeply, slowly through the nose, holding it a bit, and then breathing slowly out through the nose. I talked about this before on Facebook Live. Automatically metabolizes cortisol, the stress hormone. It starts to just quiet us down. And within 3 or 4 minutes, I felt deeply relaxed. And I guarantee you that Poupon felt better. Hi, Mom. My mom's here. Hi, Mom. I guarantee you that my little Poupon felt better, because our animals feel the energy in the home, just like our loved ones feel the energy in our home. So that when you're quiet, when you're taking a deep breath, when you're really quieting your mind, you're doing everybody in your environment a huge favor, a huge favor. So Charmaine, that's my, if I could only have one self-care practice, I mean, aside from sleeping well, which I think is so important, and practice of presence will help you sleep. If I could have only one self-care practice, it would be a practice of silence every day, 10 minutes minimum. After a while, if you do that every day, 10 minutes, you'll actually want to do more. And that's the first place I wanted to go to today. And it's a place I know I need to go as I deal with any anxiety or fear about our little guy as he starts to slow down as he ages, which is, what's going to happen to him. All right. A few people I noticed are saying, where's your costume? I had it on earlier. Let me put it on again just briefly for those of you that are just joining us late. You ready? There it is. Hi. Okay, I go from being a very sweet, loving cat who's talking about practicing presence and honoring the soul to a scary cat. Ready? That's my costume. There you go. All right. Let me look at another question over here. Jen says, oh, I can read it without my glasses. Great. Jen says, I've been offered a full-time job after being home with my kids for 15 years. Wow, congratulations, Jen. I'm excited to return to the work world, but also concerned about how to keep sacred space for myself during the workday that allows me to focus on my own self-care. Good question. Need some coaching on how to re-enter the work world and balance the needs of my family without giving up my own self-care. Well, Jen, the first thing I want to say to you is that very often when we make major changes in our life, we forget, especially later on in life, we forget that who we used to be is not who we are now. So for example, if you were somebody who in your prior work life overworked, did too much, if you were that woman in your family, you were always doing too much, and you've then restored a practice of self-care, you've learned how to take better care of yourself. If you're that person, then what will happen is you will, there we go. What will happen is you'll be bringing that new person to this new job. So that's the first thing you want to know, that as we grow and evolve, as we make our self-care a priority, as we make the connection to our soul a priority, as we do our own personal work, we grow and evolve. And when we enter new experiences, we bring that new person, even though if you haven't done something for a while, you're thinking that you're going to enter that new experience as the old you. So Jen, I would look at some basics like, when do you need to go to bed to get a good night's sleep, and let everybody know that has to happen, because sleep is going to allow you to make better choices about your self-care. I would negotiate some time with your family ahead of time so that you can have some time for yourself. Maybe when you get home from work, you can let your family know, I'm going to need 20 minutes, 30 minutes to kind of, maybe take a shower or get changed or just decompress. Sounds like your kids, they should be older now, right? So they should be able to really honor that for you if in fact they're with you. And make sure you do things. And please do this. When you start a new job, set standards or set boundaries as best you can, depending on the work environment, around your own self-care. So for example, if lunch is offered, make sure you take it every day. And maybe you go and you sit quietly for 10 minutes. Maybe you listen to an audiobook, or you read something inspirational or something that reminds you of your self-care. Come up with some practices that you'll put into place at work. Also, don't forget, good self-care at work means having access to fresh air. If you don't, having some kind of a small air cleaner, having artwork or something beautiful around you, maybe a single flower on your desk can make a world of difference, and it's not that much money. Having good lighting. If you've got fluorescent lights, shut those suckers off and get yourself some lamps with really good light bulbs, full spectrum bulbs in them. Do what you can to make the work environment, your actual workspace, as healthy as possible and as self-loving as possible. You might set a standard for fellow employees around the office. That would be great. So those are some of my tips, Jen. Let's see. And good luck with your new job, sweetheart. I bet it's going to be great. You're going to be great. You're going to bring so much wisdom and experience and modeling self-care. I think it's awesome. Okay, Linda, I'll take one more over here and then we'll go to your comments here. Linda says, hi, Cheryl. I retired last year and my husband and I moved to a new state, a few hours away from family and my previous friends. I have a beautiful brand new home, joined my church Bible study, and I have lots to be grateful for, but I have occasional feelings of blah. And sometimes I'd like the house to myself. You and every other woman on the planet, Linda. Really? We all want the house to ourselves. Don't we, ladies? Come on. Give me the thumbs up or the hearts if you agree. My husband is very contentious, lying around the house, but I'm not used to having him around all the time, even after 11 months. Common complaint. Common complaint. Let's see. I think I feel this way because retirement has a stigma of the ending phase of life, and I feel like each day should be productive. Why can't I enjoy this more? P.S. My husband is good to me. Thanks. Okay, so first of all, Linda, when you're watching this, I want you to notice all of the hearts and thumbs up going across. These are all of the people that are saying they would like the house to themselves too. It's absolutely normal. Michael and I talk about this because we both work together in the house. And I talk about how important it is. I think women especially need a space of their own. Virginia Woolf understood it when she wrote A Room of One's Own. So, Linda, I want to say a few things. First of all, I'm always reading between the lines, always looking for the source of the issue, not dealing with the symptoms. The first thing you say here is that you moved, so this is important for all of you to be asking yourself, what's the source of my problem here? What's the source of my question versus just dealing with the symptoms? So Linda, you say here first off that you moved a few hours away from family and previous friends. That's a big change. If you're a social person, it sounds like you are. You like to be productive and you like to do things. Not being around family and friends is a loss. And you may need to consciously grieve that loss, number one. Number two, you may need to come up with very practical and consistent ways of staying connected to them if you like them and you want to stay connected. It's wonderful that you've got a big brand new home. It's good that you've joined your church Bible study. I'm assuming you'll build some new friendships there, and that you have a lot to be grateful for. But let's also recognize that a move is one of the major stressors of life. It's a major change, number one. Number two, retiring is another huge change. Number three, being at home with your husband is another huge change. So you've got a lot going on all at once. And so I just want you to notice that there are some major changes here, and you probably have a period of time where you need to deal with, you need to deal with that loss. You need to deal with, you just need to deal with grieving those losses. That's what I want to say. The other thing I want to say to you is we all have blah moments. As long as we allow our minds to run the show, we will experience our emotions like weather patterns. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's foggy, sometimes it's cloudy. Yeah, I don't know why there's angry faces. But you know what? That's okay. I'm going to just do something here. There we go. I see what we're going to do. Okay. Anyway, our emotions are like weather patterns, and they come and go. And sometimes there are, sometimes we just have tough days. And sometimes we have tough moments. So I also want you to just think about the expectations you have of yourself and your moods, particularly as you go through this period of change and loss and the need for grief. So, yeah, I would say be good to yourself, Linda. I think you need to really, you really need to honor yourself right now. You need to really take good care of yourself and allow yourself to grieve this change. And I think you also need to have an honest conversation with your husband about needing time at home alone. And he's, who knows, it might inspire him to go out, or force him at first to go out and make some new friends or get out and do some things so that he's not just sitting around. It's not good for his health anyways. What are they saying now? Sitting is the new smoking. Have you heard that? So that's the deal, Linda. I hope that's helpful. All right, let me go to your questions here on the line. Let me take a sip of water. Thank you for all the hearts, people, you sweethearts, all of you. I appreciate it. Okay, hold on one second. Let's see. And here's what we're going to do. We're just going to block some people that are being goofy. Yeah, we're blocking the couch people. There we go. Okay, so I'm going back now and I'm going to look at some of your questions. Thank you for all the hearts. I appreciate you all so much. You're great people who are just taking good care of me. I can tell, and I appreciate that. Okay, so I am just scrolling back here a second. I'm going to go back and see if I can, I know some of you come on early and I want to honor that by getting to your questions and saying hi to everybody who's joining me too. I appreciate that. Okay, let's see. Amy says, "Hi Cheryl, I need some closure on the end of my childbearing years. I never had kids and I was ambivalent about them. My then husband and I really committed to trying to have a child for an entire year. Took my daily temperature, did all the things the books recommended, and I didn't get pregnant. But I was very passive and never consulted a doctor, just too ambivalent. As I approach 50, I'm looking for some ways to come to terms," then it gets cut off, but to come to terms with this decision. That's a good question. And Amy, first of all, I think that the grieving of the loss of not having a child, even if you were ambivalent about it, I was ambivalent about it. I made the decision not to. And I went through a period later in life, in my late 40s, where I really grieved the loss of that decision. Looking back, it was the right decision. If I knew then what I knew now, I probably would have had children, but I didn't. I think that it's a loss worthy of working through, maybe with a professional, working with a great therapist to help you just sort of explore whatever needs to be explored about that decision and that period in your life so that you can complete it somehow and then move on. You can complete it and integrate it into your life. That's what I want to say, because too often people talk about moving on after the loss of a loved one or any kind of major loss. And the reality is we don't move on. It's not like we then put that loss behind us specifically. Instead, what we end up doing is we end up integrating that experience into our lives. So Amy, I would recommend that you find a good therapist to work with. And in doing so, you can maybe work through it. And then I would actually consider a ritual, Amy, some kind of very specific ritual around the decision to not have children and the loss. So I would encourage you to come up with and take time in crafting a ritual around the decision and the completion of that period. I think it's really smart to name at some point, to really name the ending of that period and to give it the, to honor it, to give it the honor and the, what do I want to say, the attention really that it deserves. So coming up with a ritual, you might even, I can't tell, Amy, if it sounds like I think you said your then husband, sorry, I scrolled back down to block some people, but it sounds like you said your then husband. So if you're not with that, yeah, here we go. Yeah, then husband. So for yourself, I would come up with a ritual that you can use to complete that experience while you're integrating the loss into your life. We are all mothers. Some of us have children, some of us don't. I certainly feel like I'm a mother in some of the work that I do. And I'm very grateful for that work, and I'm grateful for the way that I can be a nurturing, loving presence in people's lives. And I've also had to really consciously grieve. As a matter of fact, in my next book, I write about the decision to not have children. I write about an experience I had where I was on an airplane and that grief came up big time. And you know, just how I needed to process that. So, yeah, that's what I would say to you, Amy. And I wish you all the best with that. Honor that loss. It's worthy of being honored. Dawn wants to know, how do you forgive someone who has wronged you? I think it's a process, Dawn. I think that one of the things I always do is I ask myself, if I drew this person into my life intentionally for a reason, to teach me something, to invite me to reclaim something, to teach me to forgive. If I drew this experience into my life to help me heal something or to grow and evolve in some way, what might that way be? And I think that in doing so, you can begin to process the experience. I think sometimes we need to process that experience again with a therapist, with a good friend even. You can talk about it with a good friend, but you want to make sure that they listen, that they don't interject advice, they don't interject you know, their perspective, but they're able to just be present with you and just listen to you and give you a chance to you know, to just kind of be, there we go, give you a chance to just be with the experience and to talk about it. I think that can be really, really helpful and important. So it usually takes time. The other thing I'll say about forgiveness I have found in my own life too is sometimes it's hard to forgive because we're afraid that in forgiving, we will somehow open ourselves up to to have the same experience again. I'll just say it like that. I think it means different things to different people, but I think that, you know, sometimes we're just afraid, especially if there's somebody in our life, like maybe it's a family member that you want to still have a relationship with. Sometimes we have a hard time forgiving because we're afraid that if I forgive, they're going to then, you know, we're going to open ourselves up again to be hurt. But, you know, if you do the work around why this experience might have happened, how you need to grow and evolve, if you do the work around that, then I think you'll find that you'll trust yourself more in your relationships. You won't be as afraid of having that experience again because you'll know how to take care of yourself better. And that might, in fact, be the gift that the person gives you ultimately, is the experience of taking better care of yourself, of learning where you needed to set a boundary, where you needed to not give so much, where you needed to just behave differently in the relationship. That in and of itself can be a great gift. All right, I hope that's helpful, Dawn. Carol says, what can I do to increase my self-confidence as a coach? It's always a challenge for me. Okay, so first of all, Carol, let's remove the statement that it's always a challenge for you. Let's just get rid of that. Pay attention to the words you use, the thoughts you think. You can just start affirming, it's getting easier and easier for me to coach, and I love the way I coach people. You know, you can affirm that every day I get more confident as a coach, first of all. One of the ways you increase your self-confidence as a coach is you coach a lot of people. Even if it means coaching people for free in the structure of in the structure of a professional coaching relationship, even for free, you can do that. I did that when I started out. I coached a lot of people for free, but I made it very real and professional and structured. And, today, my confidence means I know I don't know a lot of things. And I've heard a lot of different stories because I've coached thousands of people, literally. But the beauty is, as the more experience I gain, an expert is somebody who knows they don't know everything and isn't afraid to admit it and isn't afraid to figure out where to get the information. And so I think it's also really important, Carol, to know that 75% of great coaching is showing up and being present for your clients and loving them. Now, you probably won't hear that in a coaching workshop, but I'm telling you, as somebody who's been a leader in the field for many, many years and has done this for a long time, the best thing I can do for people is to show up, be present, and love them. And a lot of times, pretty much everything else takes care of itself. And I'm not afraid to say when I don't know. I'm not afraid to say to a client, you know what, I'm stuck right now. I have no idea what to tell you. I care about you. I wish I had something brilliant to say, but I can't come up with anything. So let's just be quiet together. Let's just close our eyes and breathe together and just tune in to our intuitions and see if somebody can come up with an idea. Let's see if somebody can come up with a piece of wisdom that just occurs to either one of us. Let's do that for 5 minutes together, and then I'll let you know when 5 minutes is done, and let's just see if anything occurs to us. And I'm telling you, 9.5 times out of 10, the client will come up with a piece of wisdom that's really helpful. So in the meantime, Carol, the more experience you get, the more confidence you'll have. I promise you that. Okay, let's see. Let's see what else we have here. I'm actually having fun blocking people. All these crazy guys on here doing stupid things. It's like, okay, bye-bye. We get to block you. Let's see. Carol says, I retired about a month ago and have been traveling since then. My question is there anything I can do to deal with the reality that I have a new life? Something that my husband and I had talked about, but now I'm a widow and I'm afraid of the downtime without him and starting a new life by myself. I'm very scared in some ways, but very excited. Well, that's good news, Carol. Being scared and excited tells me that you know that you are on the brink of the next stage of your life that will include your husband, by the way, that will include your memories, your experience with him, your love, which doesn't end. Remember, we're not the mind. We're not the thinking mind. We're the soul behind the mind, and that consciousness lives on long beyond the physical body. We're just learning that as human beings now. We haven't quite figured that out, but I know that to be true. So staying connected to your husband, but some part of you knows this is a chance for you to live a new life. Carol, if I were you and I were going through this experience, I would not do it alone. I would find myself a great counselor or coach even. For you, I might even say a coach, because this is really going to be, about you taking action to begin to build a new life for yourself, and a new life that includes your husband in a new way. And so coaching is really about where you are today, where you want to go, the life you want to live, and how to make that happen. Therapy is often about where we are today and what's getting in the way from the past that might be preventing us from moving forward. That's a gross generalization, by the way, but I'm just trying to give you context for what I'm saying here, Carol. Working with a coach, first of all, would give you a sense of an ally. I have a wonderful coach that I'm working with right now. And I feel like I have such an ally in him. You know, he's somebody that I can turn to for wisdom and guidance, and I don't feel alone. I feel like I've got a partner that's helping me move forward with this next stage of my life, which is new for me too in a lot of ways. This next book is a new kind of book. It's a book that I'm very excited about and very committed to, and it's different, and I feel both nervous and excited at the same time. And I'm so grateful that I have somebody that's supporting me as I learn to step forward into this new space in my life in a different way, with legs that sometimes feel a little wobbly. So that, along with some good friends and good support, good friends are people who can be present for you first and foremost without telling you how you should feel or what you need to fix or what you should do. All of that is just not good, helpful advice. So, Carol, I'm excited for you. I'd be really excited if you went to the Psychology Today website and looked at the Find a Therapist section and look for somebody in your area who maybe specializes in dealing with retired people. If not, then you can look for a coach. As a matter of fact, if you send an email to, let me just write this down. I'll put the Find a Therapist link on the post afterwards, and then also for coaching, if you send an email to Chris@CherylRichardson.com, she will send you a list of a handful of coaches whose work I know and trust and feel comfortable with. Of course, you want to make sure that you interview 2 or 3 coaches so that you find the right one for you. The choice is yours; it's not mine. But I have some people that I like and feel good about recommending. I think this could be a very exciting time for you, Carol, and the fact that you're excited about it. Of course you're scared. This is new terrain, going out on your own, but you're really not on your own. Number one, you've got this beautiful soul that exists behind your thinking, crazy mind that's telling you, oh, this is scary and I can't do it. That's just your mind talking. That's the voice in your head that's not real. Who you really are is capable of anything. And who you really are is an incredibly beautiful soul with important gifts and talents to contribute to the world. And you just want to get some support under your belt so that you can make sure that you do that. And a beautiful soul who's meant to experience some really wonderful things while you're here on the planet. So don't rob yourself of that by staying stuck. And even I was thinking, Carol, if you go to the previous post, so not this Facebook Live, but the previous post, and you see Linda Ragazzo. Linda Ragazzo is her name. Linda, I don't know if you're on here. Maybe the 2 of you could connect by phone even. Wouldn't that be funny if you lived near each other? She's the one that asked the question about retiring as well. Maybe the 2 of you could connect. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? All right. Thanks for your question, Carol. All right, let's see. Will I have a retreat close to home? Yeah, I have one in York, Maine, twice a year. And you know what? I'll just tell all of you right now. I'm happy to say that the next retreat is going to happen in May. I'm going to do it a little later in the season. And this retreat is going to be open to men and women. And it's going to be, I haven't named it yet, but I've invited Russ Hudson, who is like the world's leading expert on the Enneagram, which is this awesome tool that both Linda and Carol, I would recommend you check out. I'll put the Enneagram Institute link in the post when I'm done, because there's a great test. The Enneagram is like, I like to call it, it's an assessment tool that captures the essence, the spiritual essence of who somebody is. And there's 9 different types. It's remarkably accurate and remarkably helpful for both you and your loved ones. Especially Michael and I both did the test together years ago, and it just brought us even closer together. Anyway, I've invited Russ to do the retreat with me in May, and it's going to be on transformation, transformational tools, I think, and the Enneagram will be one of them. Ways that we can really transform our lives and live more deeply. That's really what I care about. And so that's going to be happening in York, Maine at the Stage Neck Inn. That's where both of my retreats next year will be there. And it'll be a great retreat for you to bring a partner or a spouse or friend. And I'll be sure that people take the Enneagram test before the retreat, because then it'll be even more awesome once we get there. So that'll be close to home. And Charlotte, I think you saw my costume. And let's see, I'm just looking to see if there's any quick little things. Yeah, virtual kitty costume, that's right, that's what it was. Yes, and Melanie, thank you. I actually have found a wonderful, well, I'm told is a wonderful vet who does house calls. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have somebody come to the house just to check him out and make sure he's okay And hopefully, I'm just visualizing her being, it's a woman, that she's a very loving, sweet, and kind person. And I also want to say there's, you know, there's two vets that I love. There's Jeff Nichols and Dennis Thomas. I've posted both of them on here before, and they've also been so helpful to me too. So, okay, here we go. I think, you know what, I think that that's it. Hi, everybody. Hi, Evan and Anne-Marie and Pamela. Yeah, so just remember, Waking Up in Winter's going to be released December 19th. You can pre-order it on Amazon, and I appreciate that you do that because I'm told that the pre-order numbers, the more books are ordered ahead of time, the more bookstores will carry the books so that the work can get out into the world. So I appreciate your support in pre-ordering the book. It's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. You know, all the places where you typically buy books, you can find it. Thank you. Somebody just posted that they pre-ordered. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I always appreciate all of you being here with me. Sorry for the weird, funky comments tonight. I'm so glad I can multitask and delete people or ban people while I'm talking to you. It was a little distracting, but hopefully it won't happen again. And in the meantime, for all of you that I didn't get to, the most important thing you can take from this Facebook Live is this: 10 minutes of silence where you allow your soul. I always do this. I think of the soul as sort of, it's the who we are that stands behind the thinking mind. 10 minutes of practice is the key to making decisions, reducing anxiety. It's the key to stopping the anxious thoughts. Just at the very least, start asking yourself, who's thinking that thought right now? Who's thinking that thought right now? When I feel nervous, I say, who's nervous? My soul's not nervous. Your soul's not anxious. Your soul's not afraid to make a decision. Your soul's not afraid to move forward in life. Your soul's not worried about whether or not you'll take care of yourself when you start your new job or what you'll do now that you're retired. You know, your soul isn't worried about the relationship that's ended or the relationship that's beginning or the loss that you've experienced. The soul understands the bigger picture in life. It's the mind, it's the voice in our heads that gets us into trouble. And the way we learn to quiet that voice is by taking charge of that mind, by sitting quietly, focusing on the breath, and allowing that voice to run itself tired. It's like a kid. Let it just run itself in circles. Keep focusing on the breath, and before you know it, you'll experience a deep peace that you're going to want more of. And that's what's going to make you sit down and be quiet. Okay? All right, everybody, let me finish with my little cat costume, shall I? Let me do that. There we go. There we go. Happy Halloween, everybody. Did you see my ears? They just shook? Yeah. All right, everybody. Happy Halloween. I'm going to take this off because, well, no, I'm not going to take it off. I'm going to say goodbye with that. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being with me. Sending you lots of meow cat love. Bye.